Welcome to another edition of the FGM Podcast, Breaking the Silence, Voices of FGM Survivors. Here on Shita Media Network, my name is Halimatu Sise. Today we have Binta D. Bojang from the Girls Agenda, who shared with us the work they do around female genital mutilation, the struggles, the challenges, the achievements, as well as what they look forward to with regards to ending FGM in the Gambia. Kindly introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Binta D. Bojang and I work as Programs Assistant for the Girls Agenda.
Since the inception of Girls Agenda to date, can you share with us the work that you did around female genital mutilation?
The Girls Agenda has been working on FGM since before I even joined the organization. Since its inception or its establishment, because it is a survival and a women-led organization. Everybody that is working here is in one way or the other, a survivor of FGM and other harmful traditional practices. So from the outset, TG has been working on FGM by engaging adolescent girls, religious leaders, young men and boys, traditional communicators, parents, mothers, just to name a few. So they've been doing incredibly well the work against FGM.
Recently, we have seen that the law banning female genital mutilation in the Gambia has suffered a lot from the National Assembly to the Supreme Court. What do you think is the issue that led to that?
In my point of view, I think that is one of the biggest backlash that we've had as organizations working on FGM. I mean, nobody saw it coming. You know, it just happened. That was why when it happened, everybody was panicked. You know, the work has been going on for ages. For decades, people have been working on FGM, trying to do sensitization activities, community engagements, teaching people or letting people know the harmful effects that FGM has on women and girls. And seeing its law being challenged is really something that we didn't see coming, because this law is what have been protecting our girls for a long time. So seeing it being challenged at the National Assembly and subsequently at Supreme Court is something that that really shook us. But I hope it's a lesson that we are learning from. It's a lesson that if you're doing an incredibly great job, people will still try to jeopardize the work that you do. And it is okay to have divergent views on subjects, But I think we as women-led organizations, particularly the Girls Agenda, we are still not relenting. We're going on with our activities. We are trying to create awareness for communities. And we hope the law is not challenged or is not repealed. That is what our hope and prayers are.
The Girls Agenda, as you said, have been working with religious leaders in the past since establishment till date. Do you think the problem lies with the younger generation of religious leaders or the elderly generation of religious leaders?
That's a little bit critical, because sometimes I feel like working with the older ones is even a little bit easier than that of the younger ones, because we do not only engage traditional leaders as an organization, we also engage madrasa teacher trainees and madrasa students. So these are the people that we think, okay, they are going to grow up to be imams, like the young imams, the young religious leader, the young ustazes, right? However, if you have an activity with all the religious leaders, you understand that sometimes their disagreement is rooted on the fact that they do not know a lot of things about what harm FGM can cause to women, So that is why engaging them is really significant, because when you have activities with them, these things come out. They will be like, we didn't know this is what is happening. I mean, so it's just like when you are doing something, when your colleagues are doing something, you hear them say stuff, then you also move, with the trend. But there is power in knowing the facts, and there is power in seeing evidence of what FGM has caused. And for us, when we have activities with them, some of these things come out. Okay, we didn't know this is what is happening. And even, let's say, for instance, when it comes to infibulation, even some of them, even the religious leaders, they will tell you that is unacceptable. As an organization, we value our engagements with the religious leaders as well as madrasa students, because we know through powerful conversations, through groundbreaking conversations, they can, change. It can change their perceptions, and it can also make them aware of something that they do not know, or change their assumptions of the subject matter.
You do also engage, you do have consultation maybe with families, like family health, the men and women. During those consultations, who do you think has the power to make decisions when it comes to FGM?
When you have activity, especially intergenerational dialogues of some sort, when you have, let's start with having engagements with older women and younger women, let's say mothers and daughters. So when you have activities with these people, you realize that when elders are speaking, the younger women or the girls, sometimes they just shy away from taking part in the conversation. So it's just come magi lu neka di wax rek ñu déglu magi. And that is one of the problems that we are trying to bridge, right? And it's a different case when you have women and men in the same activity talking about certain stuff. So when you have women and men in the same activity in an intergenerational dialogue, the voice that vibrates a lot is coming from the male folk. So these are the ones that that keeps the conversation going, and it's not like they're saying stuff that are favorable to women, but just what they think. So women will be like, where our men are, we cannot have a voice to talk about certain things. So if you have them separately, that is why when we're doing intergenerational dialogues, we have separate sessions with each of these stakeholders, and then we bring them together. Then we have one big conversation. That way, the perception of the younger generation, the perceptions of the women, the perception of the men and the elderly people. Then when you bring them together, you have different perceptions and different conversations. So, but when you have them together, it's really difficult to have like a fair conversation, because women are like, our social and cultural norms. When men are speaking, so it's usually like that. But when you have them together differently and then you bring them together, that changes things a lot.
The country also witnessed tragic deaths linked to female genital mutilation. Some are prosecuted and some are released based on the fact that the way the evidence was handled by the police didn't go well. So in this case, what is the GAS agenda doing with partners to ensure that we eradicate FGM happening on the ground?
So what we are currently doing as an organization is basically amplifying and intensifying our advocacy efforts. I mean, if you're not using force, then you should have an alternative that you use to change people's perception about something that they really care about, something that is really deep rooted as FGM. So the death of these infants have left an unfortunate and indelible mark negatively on us, and I think it's a setback for all of us. So what we are doing as an organization is to intensify our campaign as well as engage stakeholders, relevant stakeholders, to make sure this law is enforced to the fullest and it is not repealed.
The Maputo Protocol, which also address harmful traditional practices, is 22 years old. And what are you guys doing to make sure that you engage the government, particularly the line ministry, which is the Ministry of Gender, the Ministry of Justice, and all other stakeholders to ensure that there is this political will to enforce the FGM law?
Yeah, the Maputo Protocol on which the instrument that talks about the rights of African women, I think is one of the very fine legal frameworks that we have domesticated as a country, as well as other legal frameworks. But the problem with the Gambia is we domesticated a lot of international legal frameworks, but then enforcement and implementation becomes a problem. So what we are doing, we are not working as an organization, we are not working solo. Even our recent huge grant with Amplify Change, the government and line ministries, they are our partners, and we are not leaving them behind. And when they also have activities, we also take part in that. So that is one way we're partnering with them to ensure, because we're doing the same work, we have the same intentions, we have a common goal. So we're trying to work hand in hand to ensure female genital mutilation is left in the past, and then women and girls can have they can enjoy the freedoms of making informed choices about their bodies and all of that. We're really partnering with government and line ministries, and we are not also partnering with them. We're also ensuring that we hold them accountable on some of the things that they're supposed to do and they're not doing. That's one way. That's one of the things that we're doing as civil society, and particularly a woman-led organization working on FGM.
Talking about your recent grant with Amplify Change, why do you think that project is very important at this critical time?
That project is really, really significant. This is not our first time working with Amplify Change, and it's usually community mobilization against FGM. Because this project is important, because FGM is one of the practices that has affected a lot of Gambian women and girls. And having a huge grant addressing it, I think is really, really an immense joy and pride that we take as an organization to help mobilize our efforts, partner with religious leaders, partner with relevant stakeholders to ensure we have a voice, one voice to, and that is to eradicate FGM or to improve mobilization against FGM. We hope when we start engaging people, because our stakeholders vary. So we have an FGM cartoon movie that is further translated from to other local languages like Sarahule and Jola, but we had the English and the Mandinka version. So the cartoon is not only enjoyed by the adult population, but even for young people, for the children, because it's child friendly, which is why we value it a lot, because at least children can watch something that they can relate to and they can enjoy and learn from.
Since the case at the Supreme Court started, survivors have been worried. We've been talking to survivors and other stakeholders. What message do you have for survivors?
Well, if I should send out a message to every survivor of FGM, including myself, I would tell them to keep their heads up. Okay, sometimes when we share our stories, we see people and hear people say they've been given money. No one is given money for this work. No one is paid to share their stories. Sharing emotional and sensitive stories like what you passed through when they were taking you through FGM is something that not everyone can do. So if people are courageous and bold enough to share their stories, I think the little thing we need to give them is grace, right? I'll tell survivors to keep their heads up, be courageous, and continue sharing their stories, because we do not know what power that holds and what narrative it can change.
Thank you for listening, and just to remind you that this podcast is funded by Foundation for Women's Health Research and Development Forward UK.